Hello everyone and welcome to the 2024 annual general meeting. Can I first of all just apologise that we're 15 minutes late. We're having some technical difficulties with UK Engage and getting the screens up ready for the voting resolutions later on. So my apologies, we've kept you waiting 15 minutes. As some of you may be aware, I'm Mark Whitaker, Chair of IWFM. Today, as a proud Northerner, I'm delighted to say we're in Leeds, which is the first time the AGM has been held in the North region since 2018. Formal welcome to everybody here in the room today and also wherever you're joining us online. Before we go into today's business, I just got some important notices. For the record, those physically present here, we're not planning to have any fire or evacuation alarms. But can I ask, please don't tweet or use any social media platforms during the course of the AGM. We are recording the meeting and photographs are being taken. And I can confirm as well that the meeting is quorate. And thank you for those attending in person in the room. To be quorate, I need to name a couple of members that are in the audience. So with no preference, I'm just going to state that Reggie Taylor and Simon Aspinall are in the audience and we are quorate. So I've also received formal apologies from Pauline Sinkins, who's the Chair of Members Council and also a board member as well. For everybody else joining us online, do bear with us if we're having a few technical difficulties along the way, like at the start. But we'll try and make things as smooth as possible, particularly later on with the resolution voting as well. So I'd like to introduce the top table here. So joining me for today's AGM, we've got Linda House-Mannis, the CEO of IWFM, and also Director of Finance and our Company Secretary, Kate Patterson. So onto the agenda for today's AGM. It will follow the usual structure. We want to update you on what has been a full and busy year as concisely as we can, and also allow some time for questions as well. So one thing I'd like to stress is please remember that it's your opportunity as members to engage with the governance of the Institute. So we will be taking a vote on the resolutions. If you have any issues in terms of being able to vote, then please contact UK Engage at the email address, I believe, that's on the screen. Thank you for all those that have sent questions in advance also, and we'll try to address as many of those points as we go through today. We will summarise the questions and answers in the members area of the website following today's AGM. So can I encourage you to ask any questions you may have, because today really is a perfect opportunity to do so. If you are joining us online, can you please use the question function? And I need to stress as well, as usual, we will give priority to questions from members, and we'll try and get through as many as we can. And look forward to an engaging session today. So, from a personal perspective, it's a great honour again to be presiding. Everybody's now my third AGM as chair of IWFM. I talk about my priorities in the role quite regularly. It acts as a reminder of what I saw was important back in 2021 when I took on the chair role, namely making the profession a career of choice and also the profession being chartered one day. It also defined the way that I wanted to serve the Institute whilst I was in this role, as an effective communicator, to engage with our community of members and volunteers, and I hope with characteristics of integrity, kindness and honesty. Recently, I was asked by the board to continue as chair for fourth and final year. It's a role I hugely enjoy and I consider it a huge privilege also. I'm very grateful for the board's confidence and trust in me as chair. And I suppose it also provides a level of continuity, which is also one of my C's that I stated when I took on the role. I'd also like to note the positive steps it has been since 2023 to have a members' council representative on the board to represent our members and our vibrant volunteer community. My personal thanks at this year's AGM goes to Jason Cousins, who held the role until December 2023 and has been succeeded by Pauline Sinkins. As you all know, the Institute's connection with its communities and members' council has been an area of focus in recent years, championed by my predecessor, Martin Bell. And now I think flourishing as volunteers and the head office team collaborate more and more in delivering our strategy. It goes without saying that being board chair is a serious responsibility. I'm pleased I'll be staying on to see that the board plays an active and full part in holding the executive team to account, to deliver the strategy and to ensure that the initiatives progress. Today is about reviewing 2023's performance, and I'm here to preside over matters as we do that. Linda will give us a full business update. Ahead of that, I'd also like to set out the context for the present 3-year strategy, which is for 2023 to 2025. So today is a report really on that first year of the 3-year strategy. So let me first of all give an operating context. 2023 has not been without its challenges, from ongoing global disruption to economic uncertainty. As we saw in last year's market outlook research, the operating environment was dominated by higher costs, squeezing cash flows everywhere, and a stuttering economy that was in recession by year end. Bar the pandemic year, 2023 was the worst performance for the UK economy in 15 years. Similar challenges faced all businesses, including IWFM. Within this year's market outlook survey, I'm relieved to say there was some cause for optimism though. The sector is investing in the right areas. The research also showed that there was encouraging signs for the volume of workplace that was being managed, but the challenges still remain. Challenges were the impact of inflation in 2023, which was felt everywhere, except perhaps, as the research showed in FM budgets, which have remained static across the piece. And also uncertainty continues to cloud the outlook for certain elements of the sector. Despite the recent change in government, political instability was also dominant in 2023 and is set to continue for a while yet. A major IWFM report 30 years back, 3 Trends for the Future, was published for our 30th anniversary last year and tracked the profession's progress and shone the spotlight on the trends that will affect workplace for the years to come. From the evolution of offices, the rise of digital innovation, and a linchpin profession's role in achieving sustainability. This was further evidenced by the findings of the market outlook research this year, and namely that the sector is investing in carbon reduction, technology and skills, that organisations are prioritising energy efficiency and carbon reduction, which was seen as a huge opportunity for workplace and facilities managers. Workplace and facilities managers do have significant buying power, despite FM budgets not necessarily keeping up. And the focus on equity, diversity and inclusion continues. And this is especially important in a profession that needs skills and growth and to appeal to a much broader talent pool. But crucially, many of the themes resonate deeply with young people, and they underline our sector's relevance to the upcoming generation. One of my personal highlights in 2023 has been engaging in some of these issues with our volunteers. So, 2023, a year of challenge and of celebration. The latter, of course, to mark the Institute's 30th anniversary, which we celebrated in September. Those at last year's AGM will recall that I spoke about the challenging operational context then and the strategic shift the Institute was making to focus on growth against these challenging economic headwinds. A strengthened executive team was part of the picture. So was our new 3-year strategy. The 2023 to 2025 strategy is one for growth. It comes from a fundamental belief that workplace and facilities management is a force for economic and social good, an acknowledgement that IWFM's unique position in the market and the opportunity that then affords us. A member body, a standard setter, a business enabler, and also a thought leader. The strategy came from acknowledging a number of important and undeniable truths. The economic climate was difficult. Our profession is not a regulated one, so people are not required to develop with us to practice. We were stable, but not growing. We're not profitable after depreciation. and we needed to change. 4 things helped us to frame the strategy and build the foundation for growth. The first was to focus on our core offering. In other words, IWFM's existing products and services. What things do we do well that can be profitable, and crucially that we know members and customers want? We needed to identify and stop undertaking activities that divert resources and do not deliver sufficient income, growth opportunities, and therefore long-term value. The second related to this was to strengthen our commitment to member engagement and member value, understanding our members' operating context, shaping ourselves to members' needs, and working with them on new products and services that meets those specific needs. The third was building our resilience and investing for growth. As all of us will know, the cost of doing business has risen. We can't and we won't simply pass on those costs to our customers. Yet we must invest to trade efficiently, invest to stay relevant in the 2020s, and invest to grow. And we need financial reserves and resilience to be able to do that. The fourth, I would call extending and multiplying, reaching new audiences, building strategic relationships with organisations, which again is fundamental to growth. As we've mentioned in our recently published annual report, the new strategy has 5 distinct objectives, which are to develop the profession, to build an engaged, active and aligned community, to demonstrate the impact of the profession, to enhance recognition of the profession and IWFM, and to build capability to enable growth. The executive set 6 priorities for the strategy's first year. These were, firstly, to improve process and data, more efficient and improved customer experience, to replace the learning management system, to align community groups to support the delivery of the strategy, to launch phase 1 of the refreshed membership proposition, and in turn then to test an organisational proposition, and finally to achieve profit after depreciation. If 2022 was characterised by investment in operating infrastructure, 2023 was a year of stabilisation and capital investment for growth. I can tell you the team has been steadfastly focused on these objectives in 2023 and has been reporting to the board on the progress being achieved throughout the year. Each one has involved a significant programme of work in itself. The results of that work and many other projects have been visible both in the engagement with new products and services, but also in key changes we've seen and in the balance sheet too. Now, I won't steal the thunder in discussing the progress that we've made against these in 2023, against those 6 priorities. And I don't want to upstage Kate either by giving the financial update, but I would like to address one thing and deal with it up front. Despite our best efforts, the Institute didn't grow in 2023. Whilst we did not make a profit after depreciation, we did reduce the deficit position by almost 2/3. And I would like to give some accompanying narrative to this. I've talked about strategy reset and the areas of focus. Now I want to show the impact of that focus. Academy training income was up 42%, reflecting a programme doubled and a sellout of new courses and offerings. IWFM income, direct income, was up by 12%. Member income was up by 2.3%. Member retention was up to 83%. The new member acquisition was up by 1.5%. And finally, learner registrations were up by 20%. This was achieved whilst also undertaking a significant and crucial capital investment in the year, our replacement learning management system, which was delivered on time, on budget, and on point. And as I said last year, IWFM is a business that believes in investment, And it's important to understand that while it continues to invest in and maintain capital assets, it will continue to have depreciation costs. In line with prudent business practice, we keep the useful life of these assets, many of them best in class, under review. So, on balance, after our first year, we're about where we expected to be, ready for the next 2 years of the 3-year strategy. We have a robust evidence-based strategy. We have a clear purpose. We're building an engaged community. And going forward, there's been purpose, prioritization, and also prudence. I'm now going to hand you over to CEO Linda House-Mannis, who's going to provide a business update for 2023.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon and welcome everyone online and in the room. We'll start by expressing my thanks to the many members and volunteers who have continued to support our purpose and got behind our strategy. Members' Council is transforming into a key strategic body. We have a burgeoning community of regions, SIGs and networks. You are the power behind IWFM's mission, and I thank you all for continuing to give your time, attention and expertise. As the Institute entered its 4th decade, we look back and gave thanks. And with workplace and facilities management continuing to evolve and grow in relevance, we embarked on a 3-year strategic plan focused on growth and underpinned by a stronger offering for members. So it was another active year. The Chair has outlined the priorities that framed our plans. Our annual review gives flavour of how active last year was. So please do read it as it sets out what kept us busy in the first year of our strategy. One with inflationary headwinds and zero economic growth, which for IWFM was about stabilisation, prioritisation and investment. We have 6 priority projects. We set out the 6 priorities for 2023 and they cut across our strategic objectives. However, they did not cover everything that we did last year. I will not take you through the detail of activity against each objective, otherwise I will have you here all night. But I do trust that you please do read the annual review. But I do want to provide some colour and context to our priority projects. Chair's already referenced the new learning management system. It's a new digital learning platform, and that was our #1 top priority, which was undertaken last year and was IWFM's most significant capital investment in 2023. We have 3 aims with this project: to enhance delivery of IWFM Direct with a much better learner experience, to build a platform for expansion to other products, and to increase capacity for growth in online training and content, both to individuals and as we scale up to organisations. The project was delivered on time, to brief and to budget, and every active learner was migrated to the new platform seamlessly. Membership proposition. IWFM is a standard setter for the profession. We define professional competence, the profession's value and progression within it. So it makes sense that developing the profession should be IWFM's first objective. A major priority in 2023 was to deliver the first phase of an improved proposition for our members. IWFM Mentoring was launched in August last year, which was widely wanted and widely welcomed. It was developed in consultation with members and is a keystone to phase 1 of an enhanced member value. It provides free one-to-one career support service for professional grade members and those studying memberships or studying qualifications through IWFM. By the end of 2023, IWFM Mentoring, backed by an ambassador-led group, has seen strong levels of participation with 154 mentors and 108 mentees registered on the platform and more than 80 active relationships in place. Today, I can say that almost 400 members are using the platform and there's capacity for more. So if you or your people have expertise to give, or indeed have areas that you want to develop, then this is for you. The Academy increased its delivery by 55% last year through the introduction of programmes such as a new one-day training course about the new building safety regulations and their practical implications for the FM industry. Also, we launched a series of environmental sustainability courses, including environmental sustainability for facilities managers and pathways to net zero for facilities managers. That, coupled with better course feedback, showed that IWFM's expanding portfolio meets the sector demand for much improved skills. And this is the message echoed recently across all sectors by a recently elected new Prime Minister. Revising our membership proposition gave us closer understanding of what certain groups within our membership want and need from us. Our fellows, armed forces veterans, and rising FMs were the groups that we focused on in 2023. Fellows are those that have reached the highest grade of membership and are often allied with holding a senior position as well as demonstrating contribution to the profession. Our 2022 consultation told us that engaging them more could help widen the profession by supporting and developing new entrants, bringing expertise to our body of knowledge and articulating economic, social and environmental value that the profession provides to the UK and beyond these shores. Face-to-face sessions with fellows focused on two areas: the mentoring programme, which included an expert-led session aimed at developing mentoring skills for the group, plus a discussion on IWFM's policy priorities and to test thinking on the mega trends shaping the profession, which we fed into our 30 years report. The IWFM Veterans in FM network was formally launched in July last year to underpin our acknowledgement of and a commitment to the key role of veterans in the sector. The network's committee includes representation from the UK Government's Veterans Advisory Board and senior veterans from large employers as well as smaller, medium-sized enterprises. The network's first open meeting was in October. In November, we signed the Armed Forces Covenant, pledging that members of the veterans community should not face disadvantages arising from their service in the provision of public and commercial services. Those who have come into contact with our Veterans Network will not have failed to have felt its vibrancy. Amidst financial pressures and a tough economic climate, however, we achieved an impressive rise in member retention in 2023, hitting 83%, up from 81% in 2022. Notably, we welcomed many more new members this year than ever before, marking a significant shift. And it is at this point that I would like to acknowledge the role of our communities, not least the veterans and risings, in this achievement. Their energy, activity and enthusiasm has created a real buzz at the Institute, and that is absolutely excellent to see. Although the average membership dipped slightly compared to 2022, our numbers are stabilising and the proportion of members at professional grades is climbing steadily. This is a crucial step forward in our quest for chartership. Recognising the work ahead, our strategy is laser focused on growth. We are committed to creating a compelling and distinctive membership offer to retain our members and to attract even more. Community groups. Building a community, engaged, active and aligned is objective 2 of our strategy. Members' Council, as I previously said, has become a strategic body and is a key part of supporting that objective. In January, Members' Council was introduced to the strategy and a number of proposed activities for it to support. In a dedicated session, future activities for regions and SIGs and eventually networks were outlined. Regional committee chairs were invited to discuss the new activities and their response with their committees, including generating interest for membership and IWFM products and services, supporting career of choice initiatives, promoting inclusive networking, onboarding and welcoming new members, stakeholder engagement to support growth and strategic alignment, collaboration with SIGs to disseminate content aligned to our professional standards. A knowledge and insight group was established to engage SIGs directly with the development of the Institute's Research and Insight Programme. Members' Council has been active across the year on matters such as developing and embedding the values and behaviours in the wider community, future member pricing and benchmarking, horizon scanning, and EDI. A new Welcome to Your Region initiative was agreed in 2023 to greatly enhance the onboard and welcome for new members, which provides an overview of IWFM and its products, plus an outline of regional activity. Following a successful recruitment exercise for volunteers, this actually will launch later this year. In 2023, we laid the ground for much greater engagement with schools, universities and colleges, making it a central activity for our regions. All regions requested to have a Rising FM regional champion. Half now have one, and more will follow after the 2024 recruitment exercise that we have undertaken. The first school engagement actually took place this year, and a pilot between the South West Region Excalibur Academy Trust and Rising FMs, and engaged over 700 students. Our ambition, therefore, is that this continues to expand its reach across the UK in 2025. Improved experience. This is always on work, which supports Objective 5 of our strategy to build capability to enable growth. In June, the whole team came together as an all-day workshop to look in depth at 6 key journeys, where the current and the future experience was mapped as part of ongoing process improvements. A prioritised plan followed, aligned with new proposition and product developments. Working through this plan has continued into 2024. And at this point, I'd like to sort of give a thank you to the customer experience network of SIG now, because of the work that they did on the whole customer experience mapping exercise. We were able to use that with the team in-house back in June last year. So I do thank those volunteers. Organisation proposition. In 2023, we began to scope and test new ways of working with organisations ahead of launching a new organisational proposition and new products and services for organisations in 2024. Substantial work took place to define the Institute's organisational proposition, to utilise the best of the Institute's learnings and expertise to further enhance organisational performance. I'm pleased to say that this month we have launched the first of those products to the market under the brand IWFM for Organisations. Profit after depreciation. A big priority for 2023 was to achieve profit after depreciation, and so we have mentioned this previously. The Chair has spoken about this at length, and Kate will reflect on the financial position shortly in detail, so here I will not dwell, except to emphasise that if 2022 was characterised by investment in operating infrastructure, 2023 was a year of stabilisation and capital investment for growth. Overall, a challenging economic climate characterised by high inflation, cost of living crisis and a candidate-led recruitment market continued to impact the Institute's cost base, as we have heard. However, the full force of these headwinds was tempered by disciplined cost management, which meant that operating costs fell by 4.5% in the year. The Institute is moving in the right direction. I'd like to mention here qualifications and training. There was a positive story for formal learning and development, as both registrations and completions rose in 2023 by 20% and 11% respectively, with Level 4 continuing to be the most popular. The Level 4 apprenticeship is a backbone of an embedded career pathway for the sector and supports its general upskilling. It also provides a gateway to the degree apprenticeship in facilities management. And in 2023, we were delighted to recognise the University of Gloucestershire to deliver this programme, which is mapped also to the IWFM Level 6 Extended Diploma. Also in 2023, we welcomed Adult Community Learning and Mercury Training to deliver the IWFM qualifications at Levels 2 and 3. Regarding Objective 3, which is demonstrating the impact of the profession. And in objective 4, enhancing recognition of the profession and the institute. I do ask that you do read the annual review, which sets out details of our strategy and the activities we have undertaken in both these areas. EDI, equity, diversity and inclusion. Mark has touched on EDI as an important touchstone for our sector. Last year, he dedicated a board session onto the subject as we saw the initial findings of the Young Foundation research, and this is published on our website. Our first EDI public statement in 2021 committed us to improving EDI across IWFM, the membership and the profession. As part of that aim, we have looked in the mirror to assess how well we're doing, but also where we can do better. An annual survey of our governance and leadership structure helps us to see our own composition and understand where the barriers are in our own organisation so that we can work to remove them and progress towards greater inclusion. It also sets a benchmark for future activity, allowing us to check our progress and assess what still needs to be achieved. The Young Foundation research, undertaken on behalf of 12 professional bodies, is helping us to better understand where we can make a difference and have greater impact on EDI. In collaboration with our excellent EDI focus group, let's see representatives here in the room, we identified several areas requiring further attention from us, using the research published early this year as a guide to outline activity to further drive EDI across our leadership, our membership and the wider sector. I will finish here with the purpose, aspirations and priorities for 2024 before handing over to Kate. Our overarching objective will be to deliver profit after depreciation, and all activities will support the same. 2024's challenge is to transform while further reducing costs, and to do so in a challenging economic environment, which we anticipate will endure throughout our current strategy. With limited investment provision, transformation therefore must be done in a measured and reasonable way. The approach will be to do this via a series of transformative activities in 6 priority areas, and these are: build on existing revenue lines, prioritise investment in associated products and services that support a shift to more strategic, higher value and longer-term commercial contracts with organisations. Define our strategic position, territory and offering in supporting the workplace agenda underpinned by skills research. Review and seek to reposition our content offering to provide enhanced value to members to further optimise and improve levels of retention and impact. Transform the way we execute business with a focus on process improvement, greater efficiency, data and cyber security and digital transformation. And finally, greater focus on people, capabilities, structure and culture. Well, thank you for your time. I'll now hand over to my colleague, Kate Patterson.
Thanks, Linda. Afternoon, everybody. I'll now share the financial performance of the Institute for the year ended 31st of December 2023. 2023 was the first year of IWFM's current 3-year strategy. As anticipated, we saw income grow in a number of priority areas. Our largest revenue stream, membership, recovered, growing by 2.3%, bringing in £55,000 more revenue than in 2022. Phase 1 of the new proposition for individual members was launched, comprising of exclusive products, services and IWFM mentoring, contributing to retention of individual members increasing by 2% to 83%. Academy training income grew by 42%, reflecting the increase in both quantity and diversity of the training portfolio, delivered through both face-to-face courses and bespoke in-company arrangements. IWFM direct income grew by 12%, as did registrations through recognised centres, increasing 15% by the end of 2023. The year's biggest investment, the learning management system, provided a better learner journey and a more efficient assessor process, and will support further product development and enhance learner engagement going forward. The IWFM Impact Awards had another successful year. In developing the present strategy, we said that we would stop certain activities that, although generated income, were not profitable, allowing these resources to be redirected to activity that would deliver more long-term impact. Firstly, there was a move away from resource-intensive, small-scale insight partnerships to rebuild our proposition for organisations. Secondly, there was no one-off conference or event activity, which had previously generated 149,000 income in 2022. Overall, operating costs fell by 173,000, 4.5% of 2022 costs. We continue to control costs despite above inflation rises in supplier prices, including critical IT services. Website assets were fully depreciated by the end of the year, reducing the monthly depreciation charge, the impact of which will be more visible in 2024's accounts. The Institute ended the year with an operating surplus of 241,000, a 29% improvement on 2022, and a deficit of 43,000 after depreciation. It was disappointing not to be profitable in the first year of our new strategy. However, we have seen clear growth across a number of areas, made a significant capital investment and cleared the civil loan in full, and started to build contingency for a sustainable future. Looking ahead to 2024, the Institute is currently performing in line with budget. With no significant capital investment this year, cash reserves are strong to support the delivery of future value.
Thank you very much, Kate. Thank you very much, Linda. We now move to the part of the AGM where we take questions. So I'd like to open up the meeting for the questions from both the floor and also from virtual participants. We would like to get through as many questions as possible, and as is the norm, we'll prioritise questions that we receive from members. So I'm going to hand over to Jenny Thomas to summarise any of the questions, both that we've had in advance and also that have been posted online.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, everybody. I can confirm that we received no questions to the AGM in advance of today from members. And while colleagues online have an opportunity to post questions to us now, I wonder whether there's anybody in the room who would like to ask a question to our panel today.
Silence.
We have got a question. This person has preferred not to give their name,
Yeah.
but they want to ask you, thank you for the updates, and what is the current status of IWFM's chartership journey, please?
Chartership journey. Yeah, it's a good question. I always enjoy being able to answer this at AGM because it comes up quite regularly, and it also comes up sometimes in conversations when I'm at events. A couple of months ago, actually, somebody came up to me and asked that precise question. So it's a useful opportunity to talk about chartership. I'm going to answer that now, which allows you guys thinking time in the room if you want any more thinking time for a question, and also probably Linda and Kate, if they want to contribute to the answer that I give, some thinking time too. But let me just explain about the chartership ambition. So from a board level, we always have chartership at the forefront of our mind. We've got a roadmap that we will periodically review. And I suppose when we developed the strategy for 2023 to 2025, it was with chartership absolutely at front and centre, but we needed to have activities prioritised, priorities and objectives that were aligned to doing that. And those were, of course, moving people through those professional grades so that we hit a certain number at certified status. We needing to amplify the voice of the profession so that we can make a distinct name in the marketplace for workplace and facilities management. And a host of other things that we're doing, including, I suppose, we've just had the financial update. And we spoke about this, I think, at AGM last year. We've got to have a strong balance sheet to be able to do that, because the advice that we got from Privy Council several years ago in terms of the hoops that we have to go through is to show that financial prudence. We have to show growth in member numbers, we have to show growth in income, but also part of that as well is that ability to have cash reserves in place so that we can capital fund the actual process of going for chartership, which in itself is quite an expensive thing. So I suppose the reassurance is a fact to members that it is fundamentally important to us as an institute that is our chartership ambition. That hasn't wavered, that hasn't been kicked into the long grass, it's still there. And everything that we've spoken about today, everything that's in the annual report is with a view to achieving our chartership ambitions on that one. We've always known it's not going to be a quick process, but we understand the importance of it, so that that chartership then will make the profession more established, and also the institute's role in developing the people within the profession that much more recognised. So I hope that kind of answers that question. I don't know if there's anything, Linda or even Kate as well, that if there's anything you wanted to add that to that.
No, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I mean, it's an excellent question, and we've had our initial meeting with Privy Council. We know what the criteria is which we would have to meet before an application can go into Privy Council to apply for chartered bond status. Every year, we sort of map our progress against each and every one of those criteria, etc. It is not an inexpensive exercise to undertake, just in cost of legal fees at that time when we sort of go for the application. So getting our sort of, getting, to profit, having a strong balance sheet, and having those cash reserves that we would need to be able to, obviously we'd need to go to members to vote on us being able to put that application into Privy Council in the first instance. But therefore we've got to be able to demonstrate that those cash reserves are there, and how we meet each and every one of those criteria. And I'll say, and I'm immensely proud of the work that we've done. So I would say that certainly sort of in the last 7 years, because if you look at our annual review year on year, you can see that we are building the evidence and the case for us to be a chartered body. It is not just about having financial reserves, and it is not just about having members at a certain grade, etc. It's about proving to Privy Council and all the government departments and all the other chartered bodies that you deserve to exist as a benefit to society, the economy, etc. So that is the case that we are building every single day by our work and our efforts that we sort of do back at IWFM. I think that's all I need to sort of say on on the sort of chartership. And I know one day it would be joyous to be able to say we've met the criteria, etc. But it is work in progress. And of course, it's been hampered because of the economic environment. Of course, it's been hampered by COVID, etc. But it's a case of those things have happened. They're in the past, and yet we continue to build our case.
Yeah.
So that's it from me. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Linda. And the final point I just want to make about the chartership as well is that there could be a risk that as there are new people joining the board every year when we have the non-exec director elections, that there may be a dilution of the purpose or understanding about what chartership's about and the institute's ambitions on that. And just to kind of give a reassurance on that one, that is the fact that the board are aware of what the roadmap is. We do training and refreshers on that, and indeed this year, following the AGM elections, which we'll go on to shortly, there will be some training for new members onto the board, just get them up to speed on where we are with it really. So the board has got a full understanding of that journey, where we are, where we need to be, and where the priorities are, so that it does remain front and focus of the attention. So thank you for the question.
Very good.
Any other questions?
Yes, I'm just going to quick cast around the room. I can't see any hands up. Yes, I
Sorry.
can. Oh, I'll take Sharon, then I'll go online, then I'll come
Right.
back. Sharon, Selena, thank you.
Yeah, there's obviously a focus on cost saving, but there's two areas that I'm particularly interested in. One is the EDI programme, which we've been committed to, and how that's being resourced properly. And the other is, the well-being of IWFM staff, actually, and are they continuing to be paid market rates, or is that an area that's kind of being squashed down?
Okay. EDI, obviously, I know you've worked very, very closely, obviously, with both Neil and with Sophie Coons about our EDI statement. And from the young research that was undertaken, from the findings of that, obviously we have, last year we conducted our first piece of research amongst the leadership, such in actual fact, near our roads, I was talking about this earlier. It's a case of we now have got an action plan now as to how we can now push that survey out to not just the board composition, but across all of our volunteer base, because that equates to sort of several hundred people, but also staff as well. So we can start to sort of, it's like all of these things, Sharon, that you have to get that benchmark in place, you have to get that first statistic in place, and whether you like it or not, I'm saying not you like it, but anybody likes it or not, you have to start with that evidence of where you currently are and where you want to get to. And that's the only way that you can start to measure progress. So we do have a detailed action plan. And as I say, and I've always said there are 4 pillars to EDI. There is our governance structure and our sort of communities. There is staff. There's our membership, and there's a wider sector. It's a case of and what's our sphere of influence as a professional body, etc. And I know most of the professional, the organisations that I work with are very, very keen on this subject as well. And so we work very closely, look at the best initiatives, etc. What can we do? What can we do more of, etc. And how can we start to make a difference so that every single human being is valued? So that is key to me. I don't know, before I go on to staff wellbeing, Mark, did you want to add anything on EDI?
Yeah, and I think from a broad perspective, we look at 2023, as many in the room and online will know that one of our board members and actually, in fact, deputy chair of the institute is Andrew Holbert, and Andrew's, when he joined the board, set the challenge to the board and the institute to say, well, what are you doing with EDI? We want something more tangible than words. We need a roadmap as well as policy. And Andrew, who was in this room with us, would no doubt say that he has been constantly the challenge at a board level in terms of that as well. What are we doing with it from an EDI perspective? So I think from a board point of view, it's important that we all understand the context, but we also understand the research. So as Linda mentioned in her summary, that when the Young Foundation report was coming out, Sophie Hooper led a session with the board to talk us through those and to understand some of the challenges that are facing both the profession really and the wider UK economy that's come through on the report, but also what the action plan, the roadmap was needed to do. And to be fair, those were brilliant conversations because there was challenge on that one, because it was, are we going at a quick enough pace, both as an institute but also the profession as well. So I just wanted to reiterate from a board level, the kind of the EDI focus is there. Andrew is very much the champion of that. He's our board representative of EDI, but also it forms an important part of induction for new board members, but also an important part of ongoing conversations and strategy that we have as a board. So I just want to give a board perspective that it is at all levels really. I'll let Linda talk about the second element, which is the staffing as well, which is an important one.
No, thank you, Chair. But keeping on EDI just for a moment, because it's one thing for us to sort of do the research with the Young Foundation. I know Sophie Hooper is a member of various committees on EDI, which is beyond FM, because EDI is not an FM issue, it's a worldwide issue. I also sit on a number of committees on EDI, on other professional bodies, so I also sit there on those committees. And therefore, the reason why we do that, Sharon, is so we can learn from them, so that those professions who are ahead of us in the game, so you can pick up best practice. What has worked? What did you do? What's the data that you're collecting? Because this is the biggest thing about what data. You've got individuals who say, that's my data, you can't have it, why are you asking for it? And the other one is, well, we need your data, because unless we have the data, we don't know what the state of play is. So I sit on that. There's work for us to do. I would never ever deny that, but as human beings, there's always work for us to do to be better. It's been quite reassuring because of the work that we did with that young foundation, with those other professions, regardless of whether they're smaller than us, regardless of naturally whether they're bigger than us, who have also, it's like the CSI statements back in the 90s, you just put the statement up and laminates it and put it on the wall, and you conform with corporate social responsibility, or you don't. And EDI is very much like that. People say, well, we've got an EDI policy, but what are you doing about it? What are the actions? You cannot just have a statement and put it on the wall. That's just not good enough in my book. So it's been quite good to sort of see where we as an institute can actually influence other professions as well. So that work continues.
I think it's resourcing it as well there. Making sure you've got the right people with the time to do it. Because I think we're, especially as a focus group, we want to go as fast as possible. Obviously, and I understand there's timelines and stuff, but actually, can we allocate budget, for extra people to drive it forward?
Well, that's why we've got the plan, and obviously with Sophie and Neil, we've got the plan, and then we will work on, as I say, we need to sort of work on what does that mean for our governance and our committees, etc. What does it look like for the institute personnel? As I say, but then you have to then go out to, and we were going through digital transformation at the moment. So what's the data that we need to start collecting on our members, so we can start to, we've got, in years to come, we will be able to evidence what the makeup of our members looks like, and does it actually reflect society. So work is going on there. I recognise it's never as quick as one would like it, but anyway, but going back to sort of staff wellbeing, what we do every 2 years is we always benchmark our salaries with all people, against all of our roles in the institute, with similar roles in, because obviously we're not for profits, not literally, but we're a not for profit organisation. Sorry for the pun. So we always benchmark that whenever we have a new role, we always benchmark what the salary is. We have a nominations and remunerations committee, which makes sure that the CEO is not paying herself a significant salary, etc., but also looks at the package that we offer to our staff members, etc., which includes obviously pension, insurance, well-being packages, etc., regulars or meditation, that type of thing. So we make sure that we do look after our staff as much as we possibly can with the resources that we can, but we always make sure that we are paying benchmark salaries for the roles. Thank you.
Thanks.
I've got 2 more questions.
Yes.
Well, I've got 2 online questions that I think are similar to each other.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take those and then I'm going to come to Wayne. That's all right with you, Wayne. So Adam Fawn has asked a question, and David Carey has asked a question, and they're not dissimilar in their questions. So they're both really about growth, and they're about membership growth. So Adam's particular focus is about increasing membership to regions and SIGs, and I think that's probably about encouraging volunteers as much as increasing membership, but without speaking for Adam, I think he's probably also got growth in his mind. And then David is essentially saying we're halfway through a 3-year strategy. Membership numbers are static, finances are not robust. What's going to be different for the remainder of the strategy to improve on the performance, which in David's mind is perhaps maybe not where it should be, but
Okay.
do you want to address that?
Yeah, I'll have a stab at that, and also if Kate and Linda want to again add to anything that I mentioned really. In terms of the key for growth, both in terms of income and also in terms of member numbers, I think as we were spoken about, there's a key need to have strategic relationships with some of the organisations within the marketplace, which has been a real focus, as David will be aware, having been on the board, in terms of the need to do that. Speaking to some of the larger organisations, I know that a lot of Neil's activity, a lot of Jonathan's activity and others is to do that in terms of being able to professionalise, to help organisations professionalise their workplace and facilities management people. So it's having those more strategic relationships is absolutely critical, and I think we're knocking on an open door with a lot of organisations to be able to do that. So that's a key one. I think a more focused way of business development is absolutely key for the institute, of using data, and also of being a lot more focused on results and conversions of member numbers as well. Is utterly key. In part, why when I mentioned about kind of not involved in activities where we thought actually it's diverting resource and money and it's actually not delivering on the bottom line, which kind of Kate alluded to when we're talking about not having a national conference, which okay would have been good for the income, because it would have given us nearly £150,000 potentially in income. But actually doesn't deliver us a membership numbers. So we've had to be really focused on that. I think there's a need to seek new markets. That's where the growth areas are. Are there new elements and new markets that we aren't exploring? And I think particularly when we're looking and spoken about the veterans and FM community, and working with our regions, working with our special interest groups and our networking groups who have those direct relationships with a lot of the members or prospective members at events. That's a key element to it. And I think the fourth element that I would say about it, in terms of how things need to change and how it's evolved through the strategy, is that membership proposition, which we talked about as being a key priority. Members need to feel that they're getting value for money, and to be advocates then to other people to say, this is what I get in return for my membership with the Institute. And whether that be access to the latest research and insight, which is utterly crucial, and particularly when we're talking about decarbonisation, carbon net zero, scope 3 emissions, the latest research, all that type of thing is really important, and a key part of that. As I've got to give a plug for the sustainability survey that's currently just been published, that we've gone into partnership with Equans with, and there'll be some key driving information coming from that. Membership proposition as well, in terms of the qualification side of things. The career development is utterly crucial, and how alignment with the institute and membership is key. And also training, and the investment in the learning management system is utterly crucial to improve that learning journey. And that's why there was the capital investment in 2023 to do that, so that more and more people have access to that learning in a much more kind of accessible way, rather than necessarily sitting in a room, but can do it online. There's further development investment that will hopefully then allow that to be rolled out more in terms of international markets as well, of being able to access that information. But that's a crucial one, really. And I suppose the final thing in terms of that membership proposition that has been developed, where we think there's a lot of value for members, and we're hoping will help kind of increase the number of members and their career journeys. The whole mentoring program as well, which has been highly successful, needs to continue. But it's that ability, either through the mentoring or through networking, to get involved with people within the profession that can help guide on that career development path. Because a lot of the time, I believe that people take out the membership with the Institute is because they want to see that career development and have access to that information and that material through a recognised professional body. I'm going to step off my soapbox now and let somebody else speak, so I'm going to ask you to lead you on that, if that's okay. That's okay.
No, thank you, Chair. And so I'm obviously not going to repeat what Mark said, apart from ditto, but the investment that we've made is about building an infrastructure which will enable anybody, anywhere in the world to access our content, our resources, and to sort of help them, whoever they are, wherever they are, to help them be the best version of themselves. That's what a professional body is all about, is that giving you the recognition, helping you stand shoulder to shoulder with your other sort of peers from other professions, etc., and giving you the best tools and to equip you every day to do your job and do it to the highest performance levels. That's what we do. So it's about, and also looking at, the world has changed dramatically, And therefore, the investment that we're making is also then looking at the structure of the organisation in process improvements, so we're much more efficient, the technological and digital transformation that we need to sort of go through, etc., to enable the growth. So this is all building solid foundations. Kate, I don't know whether...
Yeah, that was my only comment. I think that part of growth is prioritising efficiencies for sustainable growth, and so that it's scalable growth as well. And sometimes that's a little bit slower, but then when we are able to grow, we'll be able to grow at scale, and it's putting those things in place at the moment.
Yeah, it really is a case of, you know, if you think of a car travelling on the sort of inside lane, the slow lane of a motorway, and it's just got sort of two-stroke diesel in it. I don't even know if there is such a thing as a two-stroke diesel. You can't just put into a petrol station and put super premium, you know, unleaded in there, which costs you a lot more money, expecting your car actually to go faster. So this is what we're sort of doing at the moment. Sometimes you have to sort of slow down and undo things to build a much better car, so that when it goes back onto that motorway, it can go straight into the fast lane. And I'm not giving you any indication of the way I drive at all. but you know, we do want to go at pace. We do want to speed up. We do want to grow. But you have to build it, and it has to be sustainable, because you can't just grow it and bring more people to you if the engine is not capable of delivering. So that's what we're doing at the moment. So,
Yeah.
but thank David. And
Yeah, thank you.
Adam for the questions.
Yeah, and as a final footnote of that, one thing I would say about it is about, again, I can only give it from a board perspective as well, and from my, you know, interactions regularly with Linda and the executive teams. There is never any complacency about the need for that growth. I hope it's come through on the narrative we've been talking about today of the need to grow membership numbers, the need to grow income. But it has to be in a really focused way, and in activities like Kate was saying that are scalable, but to reassure that when we're looking at figures, when we're looking at activities, and when we're needing to focus on certain activities instead of others, it's with a view that we've got a finite level of resource, a finite level of funding, but we've got to try and focus on those areas where we know there's going to be a maximum chance of return on that investment.
Wayne has been very patient. There's one more online, and I think that's our lot, but Wayne, please.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I think we all recognise one of the biggest challenges in the industry is around skill shortage. Recent government coming clear they're looking at kind of the skills across education and so on and so forth. What's the Institute's plan in terms of really capturing this movement and getting involved in that, and really kind of highlighting who we are through that as well?
Do you want to go first?
Wayne, I'm going to address your question, but if you don't mind, I'm going to face that way.
Yeah.
Just so that, otherwise, the people online might get, so I don't want you to think, we should look talking to it. I am addressing a question. Ever since I can remember, this nation has battled with skills. Lack of investment in skills, and it's gone on for decades and decades and decades. And obviously, a couple of years back, in company apprenticeship levy, so companies which have got a salary bill over 3 million, they've got to pay into this pot. And apprenticeships have been developed, and obviously, and IWFM has been at that foreground in developing one professional standards against which all of our memberships hang, our qualifications hang, and our training in the academy hang. We've just gone out there with a skills survey because it's a case of, do those professional competencies actually still reflect what is needed? So we're expecting anybody who's in the room, or anybody who's online who sort of finish that survey, I thank you. Because that really enables to sort of say what's the sort of, you know, the crystal ball looking like. So we're not much point looking at the skills for today. We've got to think about the skills in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, and goodness knows what the world will be looking like then. But I'll give you an example of our sphere of influence and how it's important. that we continue to build programs of learning. I was informed in January, February this year that the Department of Education was going to pull the level 4 apprenticeship. And that didn't sit very well with me, so I got in touch with them. And because what happened was our level 4 diploma sat within the level 4 apprenticeship. I don't want to go into all the technicalities about apprenticeships and how they work, etc. But what was happening was a vast number of people were starting those programs, getting their single sheet of paper, which was our qualification, and then walking away from the apprenticeship because they've got what they valued. Our brand, that qualification, and their name on that certificate. With the Department of Education, just thought it was they don't know what FM is. Therefore, they thought we were going to put it because nobody's taking it. Well, obviously, I was able to show them, in actual fact, the registrations that we have had, the number of people who have completed the qualification. But therefore, it does have value. And then we were able to reverse that. And I'm delighted to say, because of that, because we were able to galvanise, it goes back to the work that we're doing with organisations. We'll be able to go out to organisations. We rallied them, and I was absolutely delighted. I think we had something like 35 large organisations who said, absolutely no way can this apprenticeship stop, because it is, I said it, it's a route through to the degree in FM, and this is what we need, more people at that high level. So we were able to reverse it, and in January 2025, with a fair wind and goodwill, and that we will have a new level 4 apprenticeship because we got it reviewed. So so once again, the departments, the government departments now recognise the importance. And I think one of the things that I'm sort of greatly proud of is the fact that the government property unit's got its own FM strategy. And that's taken years and years and years of negotiation with the government to develop a clear FM strategy, and in that pathway for all people who work within that sort of those units is IWFM and our qualifications and our membership, etc. But going back to skills, I don't know why anybody does not see it as a personal responsibility to learn. And it doesn't have to be, formal programs of learning, etc. But anybody who is working in any sector, every year, at the end of the year, they should be, am I a better version of myself than I was this time last year? Because of what I have done. And that's why we exist as a professional body. We're not just a training association, we're a professional body. And therefore, the good practice guides, the research we do, the webinars we put out, is to help every single person on any one day be a better version of themselves. So skills is, yes, formal programs of learning, PhDs, masters, degrees, level 2 programs, but I am proud of what we have got because we're the only professional body in facilities management that has got a clear career path from level 2, new entrants, right up to level 7, people who are sort of directors. And what every single stage in between, there is something for you, and we offer that. But however, Wayne, there is an abyss out there in skill shortage, because as I said last week, my biggest concern, and I'm not talking just about FM, I hasten to add here, this is across all sectors, is because we've had years and years and years and years of companies rationalising. So you've got fewer staff doing more work. Therefore, a lot of people say, I haven't got the time or the energy to actually sort of go off and do studying in the evening. So if you've not invested in your staff in the first place, when those individuals historically would have got to a certain age, maybe 55, maybe were able to take retirement in those old days, maybe sort of, they were made redundant, and they thought, well, what do I do now? Am I on the trash heap? No, because a lot of them went into, I'm talking about years ago, went into training, went into being a lecturer, went into, assessing, etc. But if you haven't developed those individuals now, where's their validation that they are actually the best version of themselves? And also, the skills that we need now for young people in data, in AI, how many people at a certain age with a wealth of experience have actually got that understanding of some of the things that the young people need, etc. So it's a real dichotomy, and because of that, so many people, Wayne, end up putting their head in the bucket of sand. They think this is so complicated. I'll tell you what, I'll do now. Well, nobody can do now, but it is an individual's responsibility to sort of take ownership, and don't keep on blaming a company for sort of not investing in you or your line manager, etc. You find out the programs, and just every single year, I've got a member of staff, role model, member of staff, I won't name them, and every single year on their appraisal, they give me, their objectives, how they've met them, but they give me the list of all the things they've attended, every article they've written, every webinar they've attended, every one-day course they've gone on, and that's a role model, because at the end of the day, wow, because most of us are doing CPD activities, but are we good at recalling it? But anyway, that's just a personal tip from me. That probably didn't answer your
Have I
question.
got time to just to
Yeah, there's one more question I'm going to come to, but it's another question about involvement. But
It's just
it's
a couple of points. Well, 3 points. First, I don't know if any of you noticed or are aware that Linda has now moved into the north of England, and she's now saying things like now. Notice that one. I know time's short. There's a couple of things I just want to pick up on from Wayne's point about skill shortage. I was asked to write a press article recently in terms of looking at kind of the implications of the election. If you have a look at all the professional bodies that kind of gave their response to the election result or the response to the manifestos, and I'll quote CIOB, I'll quote RICS on that as well. They've all stated in there about skill shortages and the need for some action to be done and some kind of long-term strategy on it. And the government are kind of giving some indications that they're going to pay more than lip service to it. I think as an industry, we as an institute can only do certain things. We need everybody on board with it from a wide industry perspective. And I'll give a shout out to Neil here, who's putting together a senior leaders forum from the supply side of things, because I know that a lot of suppliers, providers of FM services are saying it's a barrier to growth for us because we don't have the right level of skill levels within our businesses to be able to kind of service that. So in the next few weeks, we've got a forum on that, and that's going to be one of the key issues that's going to be so that we can act collectively on there, really. And I suppose just the final things as well, from a Rising's perspective, which is what we've mentioned as well, is to have the career of choice representatives on our special interest groups and on the regions, because there is a limit to what the team and the head office staff can do. We need that rollout, and I know I've spoken to Jonathan at length with that in terms of we just needing to put a slightly more pressure on the regions and our special interest groups to say, listen, we need something tangible now. It's a huge kind of opportunity and a daunting one, because there are so many young people in education, but we need to start having those conversations with young people at a very early age to say, this is what facilities management is about. These are the opportunities. This is where you may be able to kind of develop your career. So that's what I just wanted to contribute, but thanks for the question.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
One more question.
Well, actually, there's a comment, if I may,
Yeah.
Chair, a comment's come in from Jake Drummond,
Okay.
who, just in response to your comment, Linda, about the government's FM strategy, Jake says, not a question, but just a comment to say that we're really keen to build on the great relationship between government property function, which is Jake's place, and IWFM. So yeah, that's coming from Jake. And then just a final question, Chair, which has come in. Again, they didn't give their name, but this is actually about another type of participation, which is participation in sessions like today, which is, can the Chair confirm the headcount of actual and virtual attendees at today's AGM? And what measures can be applied to raise low participation numbers at our AGM?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know what the protocols are in terms of
I think we had a very similar question last year, if I may, Chair.
Yeah.
I think we published it the following day once we
Fine.
were able to clarify the numbers.
It's a really good question. It's a really difficult one because it's something I kind of try and champion as much as we can, because if we look at two recent kind of initiatives that we tried to do is reaching out to the volunteers to say, if you're interested in volunteering for the Institute, and a lot of us here in this room have come through that pathway, to reach out there and have those conversations, and it's been really highly successful this year that we've got a lot of new people that wanted to volunteer for the Institute, and are passionate about it and wanting to do it. So that's a key thing, that to try and increase the participation of that. We also have done an outreach as well this year in terms of the non-exec director elections, which we'll come on to when we go through the resolutions, and following that. We had a lot more candidates this year than we've had in previous years, and one of the reasons I hope was as well as putting the articles in, facilitate and social media platforms as well, is one of the things I did is had a webinar so that you could talk to people to say, this is what our expectation of you if you were to become a non-exec director, but also what your expectation of the role is, what is the time commitment, what do you need from your employers to be able to support you on that one. So that kind of worked as well, because we had, I think it was approximately 10 candidates that came forward at the criteria for the non-exec directors. In terms of specifically for AGM, it's a really, really difficult one, because you can't force it. People don't want to get involved in an AGM because either they're too busy with a working day or it just doesn't simply interest them. And we have a lot of members that really, will use the Institute maybe for certain elements of their development, whether it be research and insight papers or whether it be certain training, but don't want to necessarily get involved in the kind of day-to-day minutiae of how the Institute operates. So what we can do is to try and open up the doors and to try and do more with our volunteers to get involved potentially in AGMs, but also to have those conversations. Maybe there's more to be done outside of AGM conversations and forums like this, that we can get out there and speak to our members and potential members about what we're doing as an institute. And I'm always keen to do that where I can at events, but maybe that probably maybe as just as useful as a forum as an AGM here in Leeds, really. But that is a fair comment, but it's something that we're not complacent about, but it's a really difficult nut to crack in terms of getting greater participation. So, thank you online for all the questions. Thank you everybody in the room as well. And apologies, Wayne, if I had my back or to you on those or anyone, but I'm trying to kind of juggle with that, but thank you. So that was really useful, and thank you for that. We're going to move on to the resolutions now, and this is where I keep my fingers crossed that the screens that we had earlier problems with are going to work. So this is the formal part of the AGM, and we've been running a hybrid AGM for the last few years now, and it's great that we can have that facility of having both face-to-face and virtual attendees, really. As always, those that are eligible to vote will either have voted online or will have been sent the meeting link and will be able to vote shortly. As you know, only those members with a grade of member or above are eligible to vote on the resolutions, which I will talk through thoroughly as they appear. So this year, we've got 3 ordinary resolutions to vote on, and once everyone's voted, the combined results, fingers crossed, will be shown on screen as validated by UK Engage. So I'm going to read the first resolution, which hopefully will appear on the screen. Way. So far, so good, everyone. So ordinary resolution number 1 is to approve the minutes of the 2023 IWFM annual general meeting. And the question simply is, do you approve these minutes? So there is 10 seconds to vote now, and then we'll get the results. Once the countdown clock finishes, I'll then be able to announce those results, hopefully on the screen.
being recorded.
There. Okay, so thank you very much. Votes cast was 189 and there are abstentions of 8, but it was for 100%. So thank you for that. So we're going to move on to the second resolution. So ordinary resolution number 2. So it is to receive the report of the board and the audited accounts for the year which ended the 31st of December 2023. Can I ask, do you approve the audited accounts for 2023? So please vote now. Okay, thank you. So votes cast 190, there were 11 abstentions, but again, 100% voted for the approval of the audited accounts of 2023. So thank you for that. And we'll move on to the third and the final ordinary resolution. Okay, so ordinary resolution number 3 is to appoint Moore Kingston Smith LLP as auditors to the Institute and to authorise the board to determine their remuneration. So can I ask, do you approve of the reappointment of the auditors for the next financial year? Okay, so the results are, again, votes cast 189, 12 abstentions, but 99% voted for the approval for the reappointment, with only 1% against. So again, I can confirm that that resolution is passed. So all 3 ordinary resolutions as part of the AGM, I can confirm have been passed with thanks. So can I thank UK Engage for those that have particularly got good hearing. Some of you may notice that for the second year running, we've had aircraft taking off in the background whilst we've been having the votes, which is what we had in Essex last year. And on the vote just before as well, we had the accompaniment of a plane taking off from Leeds Bradford Airport. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on now to board appointments, if I may. So one of the great things about the Institute is that our members have the opportunity to vote for 7 non-exec directors, each that has a 3-year term, with an option, if deemed by the membership, to extend that for a further 3 years. These independent appointments are to ensure transparency and probity in our governance. Ultimately, it gives our members the chance to ensure that the board maintains the diversity and the capability that our profession demands. As I mentioned just before, actually in the questions, it was really encouraging to see both the level of engagement and the quality of the candidates that put themselves forward for consideration this year. So I'd like to thank each and every one of those. And again, there's the plane taking off in anticipation. So it's got the big reveal. So I'm delighted to confirm that Linda Alexander and Reggie Taylor have been elected to the IWFM board for a 3-year term. So let's have a round of applause here in the between them, they bring a wealth of talent and experience and bring diversity to our governance. Significantly, both of these new non-exec directors represent what's brilliant about our profession. Specifically, wherever you come from, you can progress far. So in terms of Linda Alexander, Linda's with a career and an institute involvement really that's spanning 3 decades. She's worked in a variety of sectors, including not-for-profit, Health and Higher Education. Linda's Head of Facilities Management at the Commonwealth Secretariat, and she joins with having previous NED experience and a stated aim to be the voice and a role model for those underrepresented in the industry at senior levels. Can I also congratulate Reggie Taylor, who's in the audience with us today, who joins the board with 20 years experience in the sector. Presently, Reggie is Associate Director at Pharma Company, and I'm going to say the name wrong, but I'm going to give it a go. Kirin, is that right? Kirin, thank you. Reggie, in her own words, has said that she's come a long way in the last 2 decades since she entered the profession. She sees herself as a living embodiment of just how impactful this sector can be for lifelong career paths. So congratulations and welcome to both our new board members. With 2 joining the board, we lose 2 members of the board, and I just want to pay tribute to both members and to thank and say farewell to them. So many of you will know Marilyn Stanley, and she steps down from the board after a period of 6 years. As we were reminded at last year's celebration back in September, her journey with the Institute began in 1993, when she was the IFM's first chair. It's been excellent to have Marilyn back on the board, where her commitment to the Institute, substantial experience, and crucially, her wise counsel has been invaluable to me personally, and also to many others. One of her last acts was a very good interview in Facilitate. We've got Martin Reed in the audience with us today. And Martin spoke with her about her non-exec director role and encouragement that she made to others who want to expand their volunteering horizons to follow her example and to become a non-exec director. Today we also bid farewell to the board for David Carey, who served diligently on the board for the last 3 years. David has brought a fresh international perspective to the board with a passion for technology, global growth and influence. I've really enjoyed working with David, and particularly with his support and his challenge, and hopefully will continue with his volunteering with the Institute. So I'm now going to move on to the fellowship boards. So this is where we like to acknowledge our members who have reached the prestigious status of fellow. So in alphabetical order, as you'll see from the screen, they are John Boyd, Brian Evans, Luke Folwell, Craig Varian, Mark Finch, David Hemming, Ross Mitchell, Edward Sanders, Atlaf Abdul Kalam, Claire Deacon, Tom Page, Dominic Sukamani, and Matthew Kitson. So congratulations to you all, and I look forward to seeing you in the near future, hopefully where I can congratulate you in person. So thank you. Okay. It's the final part of the AGM where I give my thanks. So I'd first of all like to thank the team at IWFM for supporting us here in Leeds today, and of course remotely, enabling today's hybrid operation. I'd like to thank everybody at IWFM who's worked behind the scenes in the run-up to the AGM, and of course also to thank UK Engage. They've ensured that everything has eventually gone smoothly and we've got through the resolutions and everything went to plan. I also just want to make a special mention really to Kate, who took over the company secretary role when Donna Duckworth left the Institute, and has been instrumental in making sure that all that we needed to do today has been done. So it was a steep learning curve, I'm sure, but she's done an absolutely brilliant job. So I just want to thank Kate personally. I also, and I know it's a team effort, but I also just want to make specific mention to Jenny and Lucy as well, in terms of, I know when we said we're going to have the AGM up here in Leeds, it's not the easiest to organise, and I know that a lot of preparation goes into the AGM, both in terms of making sure that our annual review goes out to the market in advance, and also that we get the messaging right today in the AGM. So I just want to make a personal thank you to both of them Jenny and Lisa as well for all the hard work that's gone on. I also want to make a special thanks as well to our volunteers, including the excellent judges who support the IWFM Impact Awards, and looking forward to October's event, which will be here before we know it. And really just to our volunteers who support, we never take for granted, and we depend so much on. Thanks also for the team at IWFM for the commitment and dedication to creating the professional operation. And of course, personal thanks to my fellow board members who set the highest standards in our strategic operation and governance. So this brings a formal end to the proceedings. On behalf of Linda, Kate and myself and everybody at IWFM, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to join us today. Thank you for everyone that's asked questions. As I mentioned before, we'll post the answers in the members section on the website, and post any that we've not been able to get through during the session today. But thank you, stay safe, and goodbye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.